In this video, we're going to be going over Chapter 6, Entrepreneurship and Starting a Small Business. You think you want to be an entrepreneur? I'll tell you something. It can be so exciting and so wonderfully successful if you take it to the right location, you take it to the right place, you understand how to actually start a business. So the things we're getting into is the power of entrepreneurs here in the United States. Okay, why do people actually go do this? How to get started in small business? What do we really mean about the operations around small business? And how do you actually manage one? Some of the things that go along with it. Now, entrepreneurship is basically you're taking the plunge. You're taking the risk of starting a business and running that for the longer term. Now, some of the notable entrepreneurs, DuPont, okay, in 1802. David McConnell started Avon on $500 that he borrowed from a friend. Jeff Bezos started Amazon with investments from his family and friends. And now he's one of the richest people in the world. And so it's amazing some of the things that entrepreneurs have done in starting all of our businesses. Now, when you think about starting a business, you may want to think about doing that now or soon or something along those lines. As a student or as an individual who is early in their life, early in their career, it's a good time to become an entrepreneur. You don't have a mortgage, okay? You don't have a lot of needs that will take up a lot of money. You don't really have a career path at this point in time, so there's no disruption to it. And you have a heck of a lot more energy and things young than you do when you get older. So why do they take the challenge? First of all, there could be an opportunity out there that says, you know what, I think I'd like to do that. Maybe they're looking for profit, independence. Maybe they just want a challenge on something, doing something new, something for themselves. Now, what does it take? You better be self-directed and you better be self-motivated because it's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of effort. You need to be action-oriented. You can't just sit back and let something happen. And you better be comfortable with some uncertainty. Sometimes you don't know if you've made a sale or not. You don't know some of the things that may be happening. You don't know when the next paycheck will come in. You have to get comfortable with that uncertainty. So one of the things that you may want to think about is what can you do to turn your passion or your talents into an opportunity? And think about it. A good opportunity is something that will fill someone's needs. Somebody needs something or they want something. What was absolutely amazing? No one knew that they needed a smartphone until the iPhone came out. All right? So or the iPad. Nobody knew that people needed a tablet before the iPad came out. Maybe you have skills and resources that others don't, that will make you different in the industry. You can sell something at a reasonable price and still profit from it. And you can keep your business going. That's going to be key. Are you keeping this going for the longer term? Now, sometimes you have a couple of teams that do it. So in other words, Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak starting Apple, okay? They were key to Apple's success. And so they got together and each of them had complementary skills in order to make Apple run and be successful. Now, within companies, you have what's called intrapreneurs. So in other words, here you are, you're working within a company, you have an idea, and you're able to get funding for it and do something different as far as the company's products or services. That is an intrapreneur. You have micropreneurs. In other words, the very small business that lets you basically do your work from home and give you a lot of freedom and flexibility and make some money at the same time. Things like writers, consultants, video producers, these are all examples of some of these micropreneurs. And one of the things that's happened is technology. It's really enabled a lot of home-based businesses and some of these micropreneurs to succeed. There are challenges from working at home, though. All right. Sometimes you might want to meet with a customer. You may not want them to come to your home, so you're having to go someplace else to meet them, like at a coffee shop or something. It's going to take a lot of self-discipline. In other words, you better get up early in the morning and you better be willing to work late at night. And you better be focused in your office or in some part of your home in order to get things done. You don't want some things getting in your way, like taking the dog out or maybe doing laundry or something like that. Those are things that you can do. The thing is, you don't want to get so distracted by these other things that you're not keeping your business going. There's a lot of benefits to having that home-based business. You don't have the rent, okay, or some of the overhead that goes along with it. You don't need to get dressed up every day. If all you're doing is working from home, you could be in just jeans and sweatshirt every day. You don't have the commute. You don't have the office politics that go along with it. Now, the downside, it's getting those work habits going, all right? Sometimes that idea of isolation can be very difficult for folks. Some people need a lot of people around them on a consistent basis, and working from home, you're not going to have that. One of the things that you may want to really think about is, do you have the workspace that will enable you to do that? For example, I've worked from home for a number of years, and I have a dedicated space in my house that is my office, and I can close the door, and I am focused on just doing my work at that time. Online businesses make it very easy to take that entrepreneurial challenge. In other words, if everything you're doing is just online, it makes it easier so that you can get your business going, get your wares out, get your services taken care of. One of the things you want to do with your online business, you want to be looking for opportunities to get your information out there and where you can get it out there. Now, the government does try to encourage entrepreneurship, and what they do, some of the things they do is provide enterprise zones. In other words, areas where they attract businesses together, complementary businesses many times. They also have incubators. In other words, areas that will support small businesses and help get them going. Now, when we talk about a small business, what we're talking about is something is typically that's independently owned and operated, all right? It's not necessarily something that is just an individual doing their own thing. There are also small businesses that might have multiple people that are a part of it. It's what is it in relation to other businesses in their industry. There are 28 million small businesses in the U.S. That's just unbelievable as far as the numbers that are out there. And they account for over 50% of the gross domestic product. They employ over half of all of the private sector employees. So there's quite a lot of business around small businesses. And it's really important to be a part of and to support small businesses. Many times you get much better customer service with one of these small businesses. You get to know some of the people that are working there. You get to know the owner. They get to know you. You get a much better customer service experience than you would with some of the other larger organizations. Now, business failures are lower than what's typically reported. A lot of times they talk about the failure of small businesses. Like 1 in 5 fail within 3 years, things like that. Many times, a small business was started because a person needed a job. There have been times when the economy went south and people were laid off, they didn't have jobs. And so what they did was they went into business for themselves and they started a small business. Later on, they became employed by somebody else and they closed their small business. That's typically reported as a failure, but it's really not. Now, the causes, some of the primary causes of small business failure, okay, not really testing the waters as far as what it is that's going on. They go all in on one thing and they find out that it's not going to be viable. Thinking about pricing, underestimating how much time it actually takes to build a market. And this one's key, starting with too little capital. A majority of small businesses fail, and the actual failure, because of not enough money to keep it going. Borrowing money without having a plan on how to pay it back. That's going to be a key failure point as far as small businesses are concerned. Buying too much on credit. They get so overextended that they can't pay off all of the bills that they have. Not understanding business cycles. Businesses typically go in cycles where there are ups and there are downs, and understanding and planning for those downtimes is important. Now, some of the things that provide successes for small businesses. It's not easily made in mass production techniques. In other words, you have something that is special, that is different, and that is something that a lot of people want. A large business sells a franchise operation to local buyers, all right? And so franchising is a great way to get into the world of business. And the owner pays attention to new competitors. They know who the competitors are. They know where they're going. They know what it is that differentiates themselves from their competitors. So when you start thinking about opening a business and learning about small business operations, first of all, learn from others. There are a lot of people out there who are willing to share their wisdom and their knowledge. Get some experience somehow, some way. One of the best ways to get experience in a small business before you start one is to work in one and see how many hats you actually have to wear in order to make that happen. Maybe take over a successful firm. In other words, you have a business that's going, it's ongoing, it's successful. Maybe the owners want to retire and you buy that business from them. And when you're managing that small business, you have to think about the various business functions. What are you doing as far as the planning? As far as how are you using your cash? What is it that you're going to use your cash for? What are your products? How are you going to get those products out there? Knowing your customers, who they are and where they're at, and be able to access those customers. Managing your employees and making sure that everything is being done on the up and up and as efficiently and effectively as possible. Record keeping is huge. Huge. Many times small business owners get themselves in a world of hurt because they haven't kept good records, primarily around accounting. When you're planning your business, one of the key things you want to do is put together a business plan. I know when I was starting mine, my next door neighbor had a business that he had been running for about 15 years. What he was doing was selling products that were personalized as far as messages and things like this. There might have been t-shirts, mugs, pens, things like that. And one of the primary things he said to me was, George, you put together a business plan. You have got to put together a business plan that's going to describe to you and explain what it is you're trying to do and how are you going to get it done. He said plans will not necessarily come through, but the planning aspect is the thing that will help you be successful in your business. When you're writing your business plan, it's going to take time. You have to think through what is it you're trying to accomplish, what is your strategy as far as accomplishing that, who are your customers, how are you going to get to them, how are you going to price your products, things like this. You have to think about your financing. Again, that's one of the key reasons why small businesses fail is because of money. And you have to think about where it is you're getting your money. You're going to have your own savings, maybe some family. Just be careful about getting loans from family, because if you're not paying it back, you're going to have some family issues. Banks and finance institutions, there's going to be some differences there as far as the interest rates that are being applied and who it is that they're actually lending money to. Governmental agencies. And then venture capitalists is really kind of interesting. They will invest in companies that they think will have a chance to really make some money. And the thing is, what they want is a cut of the business. They'll want a certain percentage of ownership in that business, and they may have the opportunity later to either sell it or to take over the entire business. There are also community development opportunities. Okay, community development financial institutions play a huge role in this. And the thing is, most companies, when they are borrowing money from one of these community development financial institutions, they're paying them back. Very low default rate as far as the loans are concerned. The Small Business Administration can help quite a bit as far as the financing aspect in organizations. They have programs where private investment companies, all right, lend money to the small businesses through the SBA. Now, some of these, you already need money in order to borrow money. So in other words, with these small business investment companies, you need to have around $5 million to put into your business. They'll lend you another $10 million in order to get it going. Then you have your small business development centers. All right. What they do is they help you develop your idea and give you the opportunity to get things going. Now, they may be able to help you. The Small Business Administration may be able to help you as far as some of the guaranteed loans. They might guarantee a particular loan. What that means is if you don't pay it back, the SBA will pay the lender back. All right. So there's all kinds of ways that you might be able to get some loans and money to get your business going. One of the things that you want to do is make sure, no matter what, you understand your market. Who is it that you're actually targeting as far as your business, your product, your services are concerned? Where are they so that you know how to access them? You also think about how do you manage your employees. Depending on how many people you hire, they may be doing different things. They may be wearing multiple hats. What are you doing to hire them? What are you doing to make sure that they are being trained effectively? What are you doing as far as motivating them to be successful in that business? And something that is so important is to get a good accountant, somebody that you can trust, because they will give you good information as far as what's actually happening with the numbers in your business. They will make sure that you're paying your taxes that are necessary. For example, I have an accountant that's been helping me with my business for a number of years. He's a friend of mine. We play golf together. We play poker together, things like that. And I tell him, Bill, when it comes to my taxes and things like that, I have two goals. Number one, pay as little tax as possible. Number two, keep my butt out of jail. He's done a great job of that so far. You also want to think about a lawyer, a good lawyer that you can trust who will help you get things going. If you are wanting to incorporate, you need a lawyer that will help you with that incorporation. One of the things I tell folks who are starting businesses, think about the contracts that you may be setting up. Get a lawyer to help you look over the contract so that you are not being put in a position that you cannot successfully follow through on that contract. You also want to think about doing research, market research, thinking about where is it that you want to put your business, who is it that you're targeting, and where are they, and how do you actually reach that target market. When you're thinking about loans, you want to have a good relationship with a loan officer at a bank. The more you can get to know people and build those relationships, the better off you're going to be. Also, an insurance agent. What are you doing as far as your insurance is concerned? Developing that relationship with your insurance agent so that they can help give you advice as far as how much insurance to cover, what kind of insurance, things like that. So those are some key points from the chapter. If you have questions, please give me a call.